It is a truly explosive realization when the individuals holding the reins of power, the ones controlling the finances and making the ultimate decisions from their seats of authority, aren't simply hearing your story, but are genuinely astounded by how you navigated a toxic inferno designed explicitly to destroy you, marveling that you remain standing not merely whole, but utterly unassailable. Furthermore, you are tossing aside every bit of the malicious chatter, deceit, and social assassination meant to leave you solitary and shattered, treating it all like worthless debris. This isn't just wishful thinking. This is your actual life unfolding right at this moment. However, we need to be completely candid. We must discuss the true toll it took for you to reach this point. The term bombshell implies more than mere surprise. It signifies a massive eruption. It represents an upheaval that alters the entire landscape. Therefore, here is the current reality. As you step into professional environments or even formal legal settings today, there is a noticeable change in the atmosphere. Individuals who previously viewed you with doubt, because that is what they were instructed to do to buy into the false rumors, are now observing you differently. They are looking at you with a completely new perspective. It is a mix of intrigue, admiration, and perhaps a touch of reverence. Yet they hide it behind a veil of professional discretion, because revealing such emotions isn't part of their job. They are figures of authority. They must follow strict protocols. They have rigid procedures to adhere to. Still, the crucial detail about these people in charge is that they are human, not machines. Right now, their gut feelings are loudly warning them that the situation simply does not make sense. The story they were fed about you, the one meticulously built on partial facts and complete lies, is beginning to fracture significantly. And as that false narrative falls apart, the entire foundation of the rumors crashes down alongside it. Let me pose a question to you. Have you ever found yourself in a scenario where you are certain people are talking behind your back, yet you lack the concrete proof? You sense those fleeting looks exchanged in the staff kitchen. You notice how conversations halt awkwardly the moment you walk past. You see how specific messages are crafted to be deliberately evasive. That is the toxic ecosystem of rumors. It amounts to much more than idle chatter. It acts as a suffocating haze. It manifests as a constant, underlying hum of stress that tracks your every move. Ultimately, its true purpose is to plant seeds of deep self-doubt within you. The insidious nature of rumors means they do not rely on truth to cause damage. They only need to be unrelenting. That is the only requirement. They simply need to be broadcasted at a high volume. The instigators banking on these rumors anticipate that you will become exhausted, that you will withdraw, and that you will remain silent while praying for the storm to pass. They expect you to wither away. Yet here is the incredible revelation. You absolutely refused to wither. You expanded, and your remarkable evolution is now glaringly obvious to the individuals whose opinions hold the most weight. Consider the reality of those authority figures observing this drama. Who are they at their core? They are the individuals empowered to make choices that dictate your livelihood, your public standing, and your overarching trajectory. Perhaps it is an executive committee at an organization where you have dedicated a massive portion of your career. Perhaps it is a regulatory body possessing the capability to revoke your professional licenses. It might even be a judicial body where the potential consequences are devastatingly high. Regardless of their specific titles, they are not mindless approval machines. They are ordinary people navigating a tremendous amount of stress. They were fed a highly manipulated version of events. For an extended period, they likely swallowed that false version, because doing so was convenient, primarily because it was pushed by vocal, combative individuals who excel at feigning victimization while expertly ruining your life. However, the reality of perpetually playing the victim is that it has an expiration date. Eventually, the facade begins to slide off. Eventually, the glaring hypocrisies become impossible to hide. These decision-makers are far from foolish. They are simply overwhelmed with their own responsibilities. Yet, the moment they genuinely start focusing, the moment they actively review the actual facts, the entire deceptive illusion shatters. Let's look specifically at the damage that smear campaign attempted to inflict upon you. It amounted to far more than just a few cruel remarks on an off day. It was a continuous barrage. It was highly coordinated. A deliberate tactic drove the entire effort. That tactic was meant to cut you off from the world and make you believe you were entirely friendless. The goal was for you to eventually surrender completely. It was meant to make you question your own grasp on reality. This was incredibly damaging because the fictional tale they spun contradicted everything you were actually experiencing. You would enter a workspace and look at colleagues you had collaborated with for decades, yet they would stare past you as if they had never met you. You would reach out with a message and receive a cold, single-word response from a person who once adored you. You found yourself sidelined from initiatives that perfectly matched your expertise. The most agonizing aspect was your complete inability to protect yourself. You were barred from doing so because you were kept in the dark about the exact nature of the accusations. You were boxing with shadows, and for a time, the shadows appeared victorious. But eventually, a significant turning point occurred. A profound transformation took place. This profound transformation is exactly what the people in charge are witnessing right now with absolute astonishment. At a certain juncture, you abandoned the exhausting effort of defending your character to individuals who were committed to misunderstanding you. You simply quit. You resolutely refused to participate in their toxic circus. You began gathering hard evidence instead. You started pulling back to analyze the overarching system of abuse rather than reacting to each isolated attack. You began leaning into your own lived truth. You trusted it deeply. You trusted it far more than the fabricated delusion that was being aggressively forced down your throat. And that was the exact second the leverage shifted. When you cease wrestling with darkness and turn toward clarity, the darkness vanishes, and the decision-makers who have been quietly monitoring you all along finally see the truth. They have been watching closely to see how you manage intense strain. They have been analyzing your interactions with the very people who positioned themselves as your adversaries. They have been dissecting the hidden meanings behind every single restrained communication you issued, every deliberately thoughtful response you made. What they discovered was an individual who simply refused to shatter, an individual who, when shoved to the edge, found deeper grounding, when slandered, embraced honesty even more fiercely, when assaulted, responded with elevated dignity, That is an extraordinarily rare characteristic. Indeed, it is so unusual that witnessing it is profoundly uplifting. Normally, individuals facing that level of duress either crumble completely or lash out in a manner that self-sabotages. You, however, chose a completely different path. You embraced the grueling, mundane, unseen effort of maintaining your core values while the rest of your environment devolved into madness. That remarkable restraint is the source of their amazement. To be perfectly honest, they are stunned because they fully anticipated your destruction, not out of malice, but because destruction is the standard outcome when you strip away someone's community and support. When they lose their allies and their reputation, typically people fracture or completely self-destruct. They execute a theatrical stunt that inadvertently validates the rumors. They end up making the liars look accurate. The instigators desperately rely on you supplying them with an explosive reaction. It is a highly effective, dangerous snare. It gives them a tangible outburst to point toward. They want to point and declare, "Look, we warned you," but you refuse to give them that satisfaction. You executed a maneuver that was infinitely more potent. You maintained your composure. That is the ultimate revelation. That is the energy currently sending shockwaves through executive suites, legal halls, and corporate workspaces. That is the exact phenomenon causing the magistrate, the trustee, and the executive director to pause. It leaves the managing partner wondering, who exactly is this remarkable individual? Why did it take me so long to recognize their worth? Now we must examine what these powerful individuals are genuinely observing when they look your way. They are witnessing a profoundly disciplined individual, not in a rigid, militant way, but in a deeply regulated, psychological way. They see someone who refuses to let the heat of the moment dictate their actions, who abstains from firing off that vindictive message, and who denies the crowd a dramatic breakdown. They are observing an individual who has, despite being surrounded by utter turmoil, miraculously constructed an unshakable core. There is a profound tranquility radiating from you. It deeply disturbs your adversaries, while irresistibly attracting your supporters. They recognize a person driven by a clear purpose. That purpose has absolutely nothing to do with vengeance. The goal isn't even about salvaging your reputation. The goal is simply manifesting a personal truth that is so robust and so indisputable that the malicious lies cannot breathe in its presence. You have evolved past battling the slander. You're actively making it utterly pointless. That specific nuance, that exact shift in perspective, is what these leaders find so incredibly striking. After all, evaluating others is their primary function. They weigh liabilities, gauge capabilities, and scrutinize integrity. And when they evaluate you, they recognize someone who has conquered the most brutal examination of morality. A trial where all external support was removed, forcing you to lean entirely on your moral intuition, which ultimately proved to be flawlessly calibrated. It is pure, absolute gold. They recognize someone who possesses that coveted executive aura sought after in the corporate sphere. That elusive trait that commands attention the moment you open your mouth, compelling strangers to place their faith in you instantly. Consequently, they are waking up to the reality that the smear campaign did far more than spread falsehoods. It actively stunted your trajectory. It blocked you from being acknowledged with the reverence you truly earned. let us discuss the next phase of this journey, because this is the point where the narrative turns exceptionally triumphant. When you navigate a trial like this, where your detractors have executed a relentless operation to destroy your name, a distinct moment arrives when the illusion shatters. It is a visible turning point, even if its visibility is limited to the handful of individuals who hold the real power. Perhaps it takes the shape of a formal tribunal. Perhaps it is an official review process. Perhaps it is simply a crucial sit-down where your moral standing is permanently and favorably resolved. During that pivotal encounter, the leaders are no longer just evaluating you. They are finally seeing the transparent motives of your attackers. They are identifying the glaring plot holes, the unhinged reactions, the complete absence of proof, and the jarring hypocrisies embedded in the fiction they were sold. They are waking up to the harsh truth that they were played. They are recognizing how dangerously close they came to discarding an incredibly rare asset, an exceptionally rare asset, simply because they believed a fairy tale. That profound awakening serves as a massive catalyst. They are eager to rectify their misjudgment. They are driven to shield you moving forward, not out of mere remorse, but because they clearly identify you as the anchor of reliability in a sea of dysfunction. Let us speak truthfully. The smear campaign did not merely impact your career. It invaded your personal sanctuary. Your adversaries actively sought to poison your personal connections, damaging your standing with your companions, your relatives, and your broader social circles. They aimed to infect you with deep-seated self-loathing. They attempted to strip away your happiness. If we are being completely transparent, their tactics yielded results temporarily. There were mornings you physically could not face the world. There were stretches of time when the suffocating burden of being despised and inaccurately judged made it feel impossible to inhale. You likely started to internalize fragments of their lies. You probably stared at your own reflection and wondered if you were actually the toxic element. You questioned if you had genuinely committed a terrible offense. That is the truly venomous nature of smear campaigns. It transcends outside noise. It morphs into an internal monologue. It transforms into a lingering thought that mimics the exact tone of your abusers. Nevertheless, you clawed your way out. You weathered the storm. Now that endurance serves as the bedrock for a much more powerful existence. You no longer embody the casualty of rumors. You represent the victor who defeated those rumors. Those are two vastly separate identities. The leaders in the room are recognizing this profound difference as well. Yes, they are looking at an individual who marched through a battleground, who walked through the flames, and who emerged on the opposite end not merely unhurt, but absolutely glowing, because that is the natural result of confronting your darkest trials and emerging triumphant. A new brilliance sparks in your vision. A solid confidence anchors your stride. There is a distinct posture you adopt that loudly communicates, "I owe you no explanations. I have zero need to justify myself to you." That energy is so authoritative that it forces onlookers to pay immediate respect. They aren't just shocked that you made it out alive. They are deeply moved by your complete evolution. They are staggered by your ability to mutate a targeted destruction effort into a brilliant exhibition of your resilience. That level of alchemy is not common. That is an achievement reserved solely for the most exceptionally resilient among us. You managed to pull it off. Now let us shift our focus toward what lies ahead, because this specific window in time, this explosive turning point, is not solely about clearing your name. It is fundamentally about your emancipation. You have lugged the heavy baggage of those lies for entirely too long. Today, you are dropping that burden. You are brushing the debris off your path. You are reclaiming the identity they tried to drag through the dirt and buffing it until it is brilliant again. Those very same leaders are desperate to be written into your comeback. They are eager to participate in your upcoming successes. They aren't just offering quiet praise when no one is looking. They are aggressively seeking avenues to push you forward. They are leveraging networks you had no idea were available to you. They are unlocking gateways you assumed were permanently sealed. When you operate with that level of influence, the influence born of raw honesty and unyielding toughness, people naturally gravitate toward your orbit. They desperately want to bask in your glow. Every prolonged battle features a specific second when the momentum flips. You often miss it as it happens. In the beginning it feels very faint. Perhaps it takes the form of an unprompted defense from a colleague. Perhaps it is an opportunity that lands in your lap despite your adversary's best efforts to intercept it. Perhaps it is simply an abrupt silence from the opposing side. The aggression halts completely because the abusers recognize their defeat is inevitable. That is the exact moment the momentum flips. The individuals in charge aren't simply observing that the tides have changed. They are the exact people who actively force the current to shift in your favor. They are the individuals who evaluated the concrete proof, assessed your unwavering nature, looked at the reality, and finally declared that the circus was over. They provided the exact endorsement you didn't even know you were starving for. Now, you are completely unburdened. This emancipation goes far beyond just shedding bogus claims. It is about finally being acknowledged for your authentic self. It represents the end of the tiring crusade to validate your basic worth to individuals who were sworn to misjudge you. Moving forward, that burden is gone. You are completely exempt from that fight. Currently, the individuals whose opinions carry weight fully comprehend the reality. They have witnessed the absolute truth firsthand, and it is impossible for them to erase that knowledge. The insincere pleasantries, the manufactured empathy, the non-stop sabotage, all of it has been dragged into the light. The leaders are so deeply moved by how elegantly you handled that pressure. Amidst the chaos, they are not simply erasing the blemish on your record. They are actively promoting you, ensuring that the entire environment understands you are the exact antithesis of the villain the rumors painted you to be. Envision the sensation waiting for you when the chaos finally concludes. You are going to stride into that workspace, that boardroom, that exact environment where you previously felt alienated, and you are going to command it entirely. You won't do it with loud ego or entitlement, but with a deeply rooted, tranquil certainty. You possess an awareness now that was absent before, a profound understanding of your own strength, your boundless durability, and the undeniable reality that mere syllables cannot break you. Meanwhile, the individuals who attempted to shatter you are forced to swallow the bitter pill of their massive failure. realizing they inadvertently catalyzed your ultimate upgrade, because every piece of fiction they spun and every scheme they launched evolved into a solid foundation for your ascent. Every strike against your integrity served as a magnificent stage to display your actual integrity. As it happens, your actual integrity is spectacularly radiant. Let's shift away from what happened previously. This conversation revolves around the here and now. It revolves around your horizon. A fresh start is unfolding right in front of you. You are entering a new era where the slander cannot track you down because it lacks the stamina to keep your pace. You have completely sprinted past it, and the individuals holding the keys are running right beside you, no longer passive spectators, but enthusiastic co-architects of your next brilliant phase. They recognize you not merely as someone who outlasted a smear campaign, but as an innovator charting uncharted territory, an individual capable of ascending beyond the petty drama to forge something of profound worth. When your name comes up in strategy sessions, it isn't as a warning, but as a masterclass in ultimate victory. They are actively brainstorming right now. They are strategizing how to elevate you, how to assist your ascent, and how to intertwine their paths with your inevitable prosperity, which is an overwhelmingly validating sensation. Meanwhile, the exact people who plotted your downfall believed they were stripping you bare, convinced they were locking you away in obscurity, but what they unknowingly achieved was your absolute liberation. They cornered you into a space where your only option was absolute self-reliance and profound self-trust. They forced you to evolve into the exact powerhouse you were destined to become. They burned away the superficialities and the need for external validation, leaving behind nothing but the impenetrable granite of your own honor. When your feet are planted on that granite, you are an immovable force. The leaders are making their stance very clear. They recognize you aren't simply a person who survived a toxic environment. You are a visionary who weaponized a toxic environment into a springboard for massive success. That is the root of their absolute shock. That is why they hold you in such high regard. That is the exact reason they are throwing their weight behind you. Let us ground ourselves in this exact second in time. The explosive truth is currently detonating. The individuals wielding heavy influence are having intense dialogues centered around you. They are reviewing your trajectory, your professional history, and the hard facts that your adversaries attempted to bury or distort, and they are reaching a firm verdict that is going to revolutionize your entire world. They are prepared to execute that verdict. Upon doing so, they are going to ensure your true story is broadcasted loudly. As that reality comes to light, a profound weightlessness you haven't experienced in a very long time will wash over you. You are going to physically feel the suffocating pressure of those lies evaporate from your posture. You will internalize the absolute truth that you are nothing like the monster they invented. You never possessed those traits. You are the exact person you always believed yourself to be. Resilient, highly competent, and fiercely authentic. That malicious, unyielding, horrific slander that was designed to orchestrate your downfall. It is going to appear incredibly insignificant and pathetic as you leave it far behind. You are finally tossing out in the trash. You are not just paying it no mind, nor are you merely surviving it. You are purposefully, resolutely erasing it from your path forward. You are absorbing the hard-won wisdom, harnessing the incredible fortitude you developed, and channeling it into a trajectory that outshines anything those liars could have ever conceptualized. They desperately prayed for your collapse. You achieve massive victory instead. They prayed you would cower. You expand immensely. They prayed you would shatter into pieces. Instead, you gave them a master class on what it truly means to be entirely indestructible. How are you planning to leverage this newly forged strength in your next chapter?